Hey everybody, I wanted to talk today about a really important topic, which is sugar. Now, I know that you've been doing this program, and the whole point of this program is obviously to be removing sugar and sugar cravings from your diet. But now we want to talk about, as you're living this as a lifestyle, how do you wean in sugar? What kinds of sugar should you wean in? And how do you manage that so that you don't gain your weight back, so that potentially you don't create more cravings? So today I want to talk about the distinction between three different kinds of sugar: sugar, alternative sugars, and artificial sweeteners. Very different things, okay? So by now with TLS, I would assume for most of you, you have changed your palate to some degree. You've certainly been removing grains and other foods that should be impacting what your cravings are. And perhaps ideally, some of those cravings have lessened and are in the steps of kind of weaning out. Hopefully you've cleaned out your closet a bit and have some of the gunk out. Hopefully some kinds of physiological changes are happening into your gut, so that your digestive tract feels a bit healed. And again, so that your cravings are different. So many of us by this point want to figure out, or as we kind of move within the program, whatever point, want to figure out how do we add back in sugar in some kind of moderation. So here's the reality. Even though I'm going to go over some stuff today, please know that sugar creates cravings for sugar. So in whatever level that you kind of add it back into your diet, you have to constantly be kind of measuring, monitoring, adjusting, and controlling, and seeing if it's impeding your progress, okay? Because everybody is unique and different when it comes to this. But as I'll talk about later, studies indicate that when you put sugar in your body, even if it's sugar versus an artificial sweetener, it's still going to create cravings in your body, okay? We also all have different kinds of connections to food, right? So, I always think back, like for a long time, I never ate chocolate and things like that. And I always sort of equated it to just not having a sweet tooth. When in fact, for me, my first experience with chocolate was like having a chocolate, one of those like full chocolate turkey, like solid turkeys that like you get on Thanksgiving, like you would like an Easter bunny, but my parents gave it to me on Thanksgiving. And I got really sick from it. And without connecting the dots between that was likely from a dairy issue, it kind of took away the joy of chocolate from me. But for most people, that's not their experience with chocolate, right? Chocolate is either a happy memory or a depressing memory, whatever it is, but it's something that you connect to. So we also want to kind of separate what your physiological cravings are from what your psychological cravings are. So let's just talk sugar. So the reality is all sugars are high glycemic, okay? So there's no like secret sauce here that I'm going to tell you that's like, ooh, pick this sugar because it's not that bad for you, okay? They're all not helpful for you. They all will impact your cholesterol. So the good news, just on a sidebar, is that for those of you that might have cholesterol problems, just eating a low glycemic impact program should really have great benefits for you and your cholesterol levels. And obviously that's because we're largely removing sugar, okay? So there's no like right answer here for sugar in that sense, okay? But natural sugar, such as like sugar in the raw or coconut palm sugar, are better quality sugar, more natural sugars for you, but they still have like a glycemic index of 35 to 40, okay? But when we talk about artificial versus alternative, you've got artificial, which is processed or chemical. Obviously, we don't want that in our body. And alternative just means it's not kind of a sugar from a fruit sugar, but it's not chemically processed. So that might be agave or monk fruit or stevia, something like that. So my friend April also talked about kind of how she puts sugar into three groupings: red, yellow, and green. Okay, so knowing that everything is about moderation anyway, the things that are red, that means we do not want them in any way in our diet, are white processed sugar. So that's, the stuff that comes in the yellow package, that's pure white granulated sugar. So we'd rather have the brown, more textured sugar, like sugar in the raw. No aspartame. You can find that in bars and yogurt and gum. You see it packaged in Equal or NutraSweet. We don't want any of that. The big issue with aspartame is that it has wood grain alcohol in it. And when it's heated, it can cross the blood-brain barrier, okay? And that's not good for our bodies, okay? It also has a really hard withdrawal for people. So for those of you that might have had a challenge with coffee, it's actually much more significant for people that drink diet sodas and stuff and have to withdraw from aspartame. The other big thing that aspartame does is it impacts your satiation, which I'll explain to you in a study later. But a lot of the diet soda studies talked about the impact that having aspartame in their diet didn't allow people, even though they're having a diet soda, it still created people to want to eat more, okay, and not help with it. Now, we've talked a lot about the leptin hormone and your ability to turn on and off that hormone so that you can feel satiated. Aspartame impacts that. Yellow examples, which would mean like proceed with caution, would be Splenda. Okay, that's like a chlorinated sugar. It has a brand name of sucralose. Sometimes that gets a bad rap too. So again, this is about things in moderation. You would need about 1,700 packets of sucralose to be really in danger with your body. So for example, our TLS canister shakes have like maybe 1 packet per the whole canister. Okay, so you're just not getting a lot of exposure to it. So you want to keep that, mellow, but it's again, proceed with caution. And then you can look at, as we talked about or in label reading, all the other ingredients that are part of what you do that are going to help make a product better for you. Green would be things like stevia or truvia, which is its brand name, or monk fruit. And these are things that like you want to have it in tea or coffee and stuff like that in small amounts. Just note they all have different flavors, agave, things like that, so you can change with them. But here's the reality. Your body does not know the difference. Okay, so if your brain detects the sugar, it's still going to have an insulin surge and an insulin response, and that can put your body into fat storage mode. So again, it's still not great. Like you have to go into this cautiously. Okay, just to be real quick, there was one study I want to bring to your attention that was done with rats. They had 3 different kind of groupings of the rat. One was fed a sugar water like a Gatorade, one was fed a sweetener, and one like an aspartame, and one was fed water. Okay. In both of the stories, except for the water, they went back after they had the drink. They were given a brownie, and they would go back and keep nibbling at that brownie, especially with the sugar water like the Gatorade or the sweetener. But when they just had the water, they would go back and nibble at the brownie cautiously and not that much. And really the takeaway here was, again, kind of what I said at the beginning of this tape, that sugar creates cravings for sugar. So in general, we want to kind of modify that. Okay, so hopefully you found this video helpful. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. You can just post below the video. Take care.